The following video was made for a request I got on Patreon. Johnny DL, who requested this, also submitted a script for it, which was really helpful, and thank you for both your financial support and your support in helping me to make this video. I haven't copied the script word for word, but it really has influenced my writing process. Disclaimer, this series revolves around criticising things, and just because I'm doing that doesn't necessarily mean I dislike the thing. Thank you. Click below to watch the original Sins video, or to buy Ender's Game.
"50 years ago."
Enderation.
Jeremeration.
I am one of those recruits.
Awesome, because if you're not, we're talking about a really short movie.
Or it could be a sci-fi movie about literally anything else that happens in this world where aliens tried to invade 50 years ago. A movie doesn't have to be about these super special super soldiers to be interesting. I for one think that exploring the lives of just normal people 50 years into the aftermath of this attempted alien invasion would be really interesting as a concept. It'd probably be quite a different movie to this, sure. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be this massive space opera that we've got, but it still could be really interesting.
He's the one.
Having the one.
Believe me, I don't like the one cliche any more than you do. I do think it's just a cheap way to make your protagonist seem even more important. But just because Harrison Ford says the words the one doesn't mean this is the chosen one cliche. He means it essentially as an abbreviation for the sentence, he's the one we've been looking for. Essentially, he's just saying that he thinks Ender is their best choice.
You miscalculated your trajectory relative to the incoming asteroid.
Don't lecture me, Wiggin.
We were told just a minute ago that this program recruits the smartest children. So what did they see in this typical cliche movie bully? If the plastics show up in this thing, I'm out.
Program recruits are the smartest children, yes, but they test everyone. Also, the fact that this kid is a dick doesn't mean he's not smart. There are loads of smart dicks out there.
This phone hurt a bit.
What is the end game, or Ender's Game, of telling him it won't hurt when it clearly will? I know they want to see how he'll respond to getting kicked out of the program, but lying to him about the pain of this procedure?
I mean, I get told that the needle won't hurt when I get blood taken, so even though this is a lie, I'm fairly sure it's an accurate representation of real life, rather than something the movie did wrong specifically.
Ender will get in trouble for this, but he shouldn't. He should get a fucking medal.
That's straight up a lie. I mean, maybe it's a mistake on your part, but I find it really hard to believe that you didn't realize that that wasn't true. Ender is not punished for this. He's specifically congratulated by his superiors for this, and essentially graduates off the back of this.
You mean the mom and dad spent all that money on a third? And now he's off the program too?
I've read the book, so I know that third has derogatory connotations, probably to the point that polite society calls it the T-word, but I'll be damned if this movie ever explains it.
As someone who's watched the movie and not read the book, you know, because I'm talking about the movie, not the book, it's fine if you like the book and all, but I personally believe that movie adaptations of books should be able to stand up on their own without needing the book as support. But as I was saying, I haven't read the book, but this was perfectly clear to me. It was obvious from context what third meant and that it was derogatory.
Let me in!
I mean, if she really wanted to stop what was happening, couldn't she have just broken one or more of those panes of glass in the door? Also, this movie's been going for 7 minutes and it's made up of 80% ass beatings so far.
There have been 2 arse beatings so far. Although that's definitely more arse beatings than in an average 7 minutes. I'd say that, narratively speaking, it's definitely an acceptable number of arse beatings. And also isn't 80% of 7 minutes.
Sensor alert. Front door. Please state your name.
You mean they couldn't call first?
Yeah, I'll just call ahead and give this boy's family time to fester on the fact that we're probably going to take their son away forever to fight in a war. That can only lead to good things happening.
Final step in our evaluation is always to see what happens when the monitor is removed.
Okay, she should finish this by saying, with admiration, "And you, son, nearly kicked a guy to death."
Okay, so let's just think about this one for a minute. It really feels like sarcasm that Jeremy is saying, obviously she shouldn't say that, because that would be dumb. It really genuinely does feel sarcastic. I'm really getting the impression that you're saying that she shouldn't say anything like that, which would make sense, because she sort of does say something like that. Well, Harrison Ford more sort of says something like that. Although he doesn't say it to the family, he says it to Ender himself. And in the case that you are being sarcastic and that's the point that you're making, I raise you this. It's almost as if this organization whose main goal is to trick a child into committing genocide has a slightly different moral compass to you or I. Oh, spoilers, by the way? If you're not being sarcastic here, which actually would be consistent with the sin you made earlier about Ender not being punished for beating up that guy, then what the fuck, dude? He nearly killed that kid. Oh wait, did he kill that kid?
It's not what he did. It's why he did it. It was tactical. A strategy to stop future attacks.
So you must have been really certain that the bullies would confront him afterward in order to get that information, huh? You've got, what, a few hours to make that determination before he goes home and you can't monitor him anymore?
First off, I wouldn't put it past these guys to actually stage something like that, but that doesn't even matter. All they said was they wanted to see how he'd react to being sent home. Seeing his tactical decision when dealing with the bullies may be an added bonus to that, but I doubt it's something they were depending on.
Also, it's almost like Harrison Ford took his Brent Rickey character from 42 and just continued it here. He wants the guy who's got the guts not to fight back.
The guy with the guts not to fight back is literally the opposite of what they're looking for.
This society has solar panel launch rockets and genetic prediction abilities, so other than zero gravity, why would the battle school need to actually take place in space? Why can't you train these fools on Earth and even simulate zero gravity with your future technology and shit?
Or alternatively, why would you go to the effort of simulating zero gravity on Earth, which is really, really hard to do for extended periods of time? And actually, as far as people are aware, I believe it's impossible to simulate zero gravity for an extended amount of time, at least without some kind of major new discoveries. However, building space stations where there's already no gravity is something we can already do. So the suggestion that it would be easier to do the zero gravity games on Earth is laughable. But I guess they do have solar panels around their launch site because that's somehow relevant. So, obviously, for them it would be easier to simulate zero gravity on Earth than it would be to build a space station, because of reasons.
Anti-gravity vomit. Anti-gravi vomit?
First of all, obviously it would be anti-gravomit, and secondly, that pun was not worth your time.
Only one kid on this launch with any brains at all so far, and that's Ender Wiggin.
This is what the military refers to as painting the target.
Yes, and that's literally the point.
Oh look, it's a smartass.
While I understand that they're reacting this way because Harrison Ford singled him out, don't all these kids know the pain of being bullied because of their intellect?
Not every smart person gets bullied. This isn't I am very smart. Also, if any of them did used to be in the same boat as Ender, maybe they're just enjoying being on top for once. I mean, aren't they teens? Do you think that's an age group that's normally known for its empathy?
Thought I'd have to ask to be by the door.
Speak your name.
Ender Wiggin.
So they left him this last bunk by the door, but somehow saying his name into the voice print thing at this bunk unlocks it and
Yeah, maybe because he's one of the people who's supposed to be there, and he's supposed to have a locker there. Maybe the system is like, well, nobody else has claimed this locker yet, and you are one of the people who's supposed to be here, so I'm gonna let you in. And as exciting as I think it would be to have a scene where they all get assigned their individual lockers, I don't think we need that. This is fine. It fits with the technology level shown. It's all good.
But if you're looking for a shoulder to cry on, use a pillow. Do I look like I'm joking, Snarks?
They don't know what you look like, man. You literally had your back to all of them when you said that.
Do I look like I'm joking, Snarks?
Weren't all these assholes already in some sort of military academy before they made it here? This isn't fucking boot camp. They know better.
Maybe they know better, or maybe their last superiors weren't total dickweeds.
A great responsibility rests upon each of you.
And it comes with great power. Oh, wait, I fucked it up, didn't I?
Apparently you can't say the word responsibility or power in a movie these days without Jeremy using it to make a cheap Spider-Man reference.
10 minutes is barely enough time to even wake up. I know this is some kind of military or whatever, but the entire movie they keep waking people up 10 minutes before important shit.
Yeah, because in real wars you'll always have just a load of time to wake up, just at your leisure, because nothing unexpected ever happens in wars that would require you to wake up fast, and as we all know, the enemy will send an advanced warning before they make an attack, so that you've got time to set an alarm, have breakfast, get showered, generally get ready for your day before the battle starts.
Why build 90% of a face shield? If you're going to go to 90%, why stop there? Do you need to let in air? If you're going to leave part of it open, presumably for air, why not just shield the eyes and call it a day?
Okay, so goggles are fine, and a full face shield is also fine, but anything in between that will displease Jeremy. I know that nitpicking is your thing and all, but this is hardly nitpicking. This is more like nit inventing.
This is amazing. I can't move at all now.
Sounds dope.
I like that one.
You're flapping around like a bunch of drunken ducks. Sergeant, explain the game.
Yeah, let's insult your recruits before you ever give them any idea what the was going on.
They're being told off for messing around with the equipment rather than getting ready to do the activity in this elite military academy. Sounds pretty standard to me.
You get 1 point for a hit to a limb, 6 for a torso hit.
And this game will somehow prepare you to pilot massive space warships against other massive warships. Just go with it. And yes, I know they're looking at leadership and tactics, but still, tons of easier ways to observe that kind of shit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that flying around in a zero-gravity environment and shooting each other has absolutely no bearing on what a space battle would be like.
If either side gets 1 cadet through their enemy's gate, unharmed, that army will win, regardless of points already scored.
So it's like the snitch in Quidditch, and it makes everything else you do essentially worthless. Great game.
This game isn't supposed to be fun, it's an exercise to train commanders. In real warfare, it doesn't matter how many of your enemies you shot if they still manage to achieve their objective.
You will never be a commander. I will never salute you.
Push-up shadowing. Push shadowing?
CinemaSins, blurring the lines between puns and just mashing words together since 2012.
I mean, seriously. This is the type of thing that threatens an entire movie's credibility, when dicks like this can get into an elite school that the movie has tried so hard to tell us is impossible to get into.
Why do you think that being a dick and being successful are mutually exclusive? Have you never met yourself? It's okay, he calls himself a dick regularly. I'm sure I can get away with this.
I'm sorry, but you can't play baseball like this. Any kind of well-struck ball will hit the ceiling immediately. And later we find out the battle room is open 24/7. Why not play this game in the awesome anti-gravity chamber?
Oh yeah, sorry sir, I know that this room is supposed to be used for battle simulations since, we're training to take on an alien threat, but we just thought we could take up this space to play baseball because obviously that's more important than anyone who actually wants to train right now.
I intend to trade you ASAP.
Trade? The way this training center inadvertently creates some kind of sports league is baffling. He's in charge of a squad even though he's still just a cadet, but he can, as a cadet, immediately trade away another cadet the boss has personally assigned to his squad? Is this like a sign and trade kind of deal here?
What, so all cadets should have exactly the same privileges just because they're all cadets? I mean, a ranking system among the cadets makes perfect sense. And this one seems as good as any.
Why does she even do this? Like, yeah, maybe she's just trying to be nice to the newbie, or she likes him. But since Bonzo told him to do nothing when they get into the chamber, what good is his practice? Does she know Ender's gonna be the special that defeats Lord Business?
Maybe she just doesn't want someone completely useless on her team. I don't know. Maybe she's even seen Bonzo go through this exact process before with other newbies. Or maybe it's either of the viable potential reasons you gave. I don't know, but it doesn't really seem that far-fetched.
You don't practice with her. In fact, you don't practice at all.
I realize you need antagonists in a movie, but this guy's bully boner is absurdly big. It's the Dirk Diggler of bully boners.
Jeremy says boner. Hang on a second, that's not my reoccurring gag. How did that get in the script?
Wake up, mis pendejos! Battle with leopard in 10 minutes!
What the 10 minutes?
Yes. That is an amount of time.
Look, I'll grant the fact that salamanders are predatory animals, but they don't exactly strike fear into me when I hear their name. Are you telling me this hyper-violent society that fosters violent cadets is going to end up on Salamander for a fucking mascot?
Remember, if you have a hyper-violent society in your work of fiction, you should make sure that everything they do reminds you that they're hyper-violent. Make a planet of the hats. Everybody loves those. It's world building 101.
The movie will send this for us, but what an extraordinarily stupid maneuver this is. I mean, your solution is to make one big target, where the opposing team doesn't have to be all that accurate when they shoot.
Nope, there's still 3 targets since they all need to be killed individually, and the 2 on the bottom are providing cover for the one on the top. Maybe there are better strategies, but it's not completely without merit as you seem to be presenting it to be.
I mean, this movie isn't beloved or anything, but it's stuff like this that made it passable. I'd take action scenes this clever using actual thought and tactics over 99% of the action scenes I see in movies today. But also, one session with a girl and suddenly he's spinning spacesuit Jesus with the gunplay.
I'm kind of in agreement here. The one session really wasn't enough for Ender to get this good at this game. I think this is part of the problem when adapting an entire novel into just one movie, and I honestly think Ender's Game would be a much, much better TV show than it would be a film.
Could she want him anymore?
She probably could, considering neither of them make any kind of move on each other at any point.
Somehow allowed to happen by all the adults in this place who spy on everyone all the time with cameras. I'm getting a little tired of how intentionally ignorant these adults are with the bullying that goes on at this academy.
You understand that the adults in this film are essentially our antagonists, right? I mean, we may not have realized that yet, but these adults are comfortable with tricking children into committing genocide, but you think that they'd think that bullying is a little step too far?
Video game substitutes for a dream sequence, where we're sure to see Voldemort at some point.
You could replace maybe like 1/10 of the sins in CinemaSins with just the words, I saw something vaguely similar to this in another movie once, and
How did his psycho brother end up in the game?
He's obviously feeling some psychological pressure.
The only reason the game is doing this, as we later learn, is because the stupid aliens are trying to use telepathy to communicate with him. A video game doing this is impossible. So the sin for this is that she casually chalks it up to psychological pressure instead of a goddamn miracle of software.
If only the movie had some kind of explanation as to how this could be possible. You know, like the explanation that's literally in the scene you're currently talking over.
Highest battle room ratings.
We've only seen him in the battle room for official matches once. We have, however, spent a lot of time on a stupid video game where a White Walker makes him drink poison and his brother is still a dick.
It's almost as if those things are important to the story.
We should storm him and crush him.
Nah, we hold our positions. He has to come to us.
Not according to the rules of the game. It's a point-based game unless someone breaches the other side's gate. Otherwise, it's points based on leg shots and torso shots. I was paying attention, and his team has shot 12 of your soldiers and you've shot 1 of his. Ender wins on points.
That's actually a really good point. I guess today, Jeremy wins on points. Get it? Because he made a good point. I'll leave.
I'm not saying put cameras in the showers. I'm just saying this facility has live feed video surveillance of its cadets, but somehow lets every single bullying and beating occur with zero interference.
We've already covered how fucked up these people are, but you think this is where they should draw the line?
Then they started falling out of the sky.
Luckily, I was nowhere near any of the thousands of ships that should have crashed into me like a bad Dave Matthews Band concert.
They're all moving vertically and parallel to each other. Unless he's directly under one of them, he's not going to get hit.
The MD-500, which Petra is trained to fire.
F***ing what? When did she get trained to do that? That seems like a healthy coincidence to me.
Yes, what a coincidence that they've been training their cadets to do some of the things that they need some of their cadets to do.
He's abandoning his entire fleet.
He's in command. There's no stopping him now.
Considering the reveal we're about to get, it's absolutely stunning that the people in charge don't tackle Ender during this maneuver. This is gambling the entire fleet, something that they know but Ender doesn't know. Also, is there any indication as to why they needed kids to do this? And even if they believed kids were better suited because of their video game capabilities or whatever, why were there restrictions on having a third child? Seems like a society that goes all in on children running the military would ask parents to have as many children as possible.
Not if you're worried about things like scarcity or lack of resources. You know, the actual problem that is killing the Formix. You know, if there are more people living on the planet than the planet can sustain, that's going to be a problem. Hashtag Thanos did nothing wrong.
Harrison Ford, Ben Kingsley, a screenshot from the core.
Naming someone on screen. Naming someone else on screen. Claiming something's a screenshot when it's clearly moving footage.
See, here's where the movie fails. If one has read the book and knows how the story ends, then the entire movie is a lie, and one knows it, and it can't help but keep one from truly experiencing and enjoying the ride. It's the rare example where a book's twist is so great that the movie ends up being pretty much made solely for the people who never read the book.
But I thought one of your main philosophies when it comes to dealing with movies that are based on books is that the books don't matter at all. Movies should be able to stand on their own, separately of the books, and shouldn't depend on having read the book to be enjoyable. I personally agree with you on that. I know a lot of people in my comments don't, and that's fine, it's all opinions, but I think the movies and the books should be treated as separate entities. It's like when people in my comments of my Guardians 2 video keep telling me that actually Drax is one of the most powerful characters in Marvel canon. Yeah, maybe in the comics he is, but we've not actually been given any indication of that in the films, and the films are the thing that we're talking about here. I can't actually remember what point I was making, but I'm pretty sure there was a sin in there, so the sin total was 44. And the penalty will be a game, which definitely isn't going to trick you into committing genocide. If you want to see a quickie review of this movie, I'm going to do another video on Ender's Game quite soon, and I'm going to put my quickie review of Ender's Game at the end of that. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you on Sunday. Goodbye.